abanyamyatsi bamaye bakasonekiribwa emiberengo kuba ngaitwara omwirebereria haimanera handika okwa myatsi eyambengene na akalulu kwe obukome obomwaka owakasangu 2026 ngomulingo moma oeritakaniziyabo omwibye ibakatsomana ebyo obuyerinda bikwabo haima neshengeso eshabanga enderako omakaulu bakasorokaye emyatsi kandi iba nimusamanyisibwa nayenda merengo eyeribi ibakayerendamo ngeyeretunga ebyambalo ebyangabalenda okusisa emibire kwabo kwe obumezi bwabo omakaulu bakakorera omubiri wabo omakaulu habye eresabangulwa eri okwabanyamyatsi busanene rebiriria okwashasonga esambengen okobwabe bwabo omwikuma haimanere handika okwamyatsi mitu na mutina omukonga owabye effort potro na kutsebutsebu eribi ibakaleberera okwashasonga eshakaro mutikanabe kikamenyererawa indi abanyamyatsi babiribya ibakasusiba wanabe nerisurustibwa omakaulu bakabye iba no mwimenye mutu na mutina ibakahandika nariende ibakatru okwamyatsi mutu na mutina omuraye owaberekera omwitekaho mibere yosi eyengabo oticha omakaulu bakamanyisa ya pikarani okwamyatsi eyakalulu akakanino munyamyatsi wetu okinimba echeruzo TV Solomon Serwanja director of African Institute for Investigative Journalism maka nabi inakangana ya omwaso owo omunyamyatsi eribya inakalendeba wamo kandi ina nimusomeshabo emibere misha eyo eyangabaletera omwibya ibakahandika okwamyatsi eyakalulu isibatatunga butsebo.
One of the issues that we've been training journalists on is safety and security. How do you cover elections while staying safe? They always tell us no stories is worth our lives, and it's important for us to have different tools in our toolboxes to pull out when we are covering elections. We have to stay safe. And so it's really been quite sharing. What does it also take to cover elections this time around? How do you frame the stories on elections? How do you remain a journalist without being influenced by the political party that you've covered? We know that journalists are human beings. When they cover a particular candidate for quite a while, they begin to develop aligning with those political parties. How do we break that? Temptation of being aligned to a political party. And so we've been really talking, how do we even investigate elections? We know the issue of monetization of our politics in Uganda. How can journalists investigate that? How can journalists investigate election violence? Who is behind this violence? How can we collect evidence that we can use after elections to be able to pull out and call out the people who commit these atrocities and human rights violations? And so that's what we've been doing. Training reporters. We've been here in Fort Portal training the Western region, and we've had amazing participation from journalists.
Mwakabye inanumutsweba emibere bakamba munabe abanyamyatsi na kutubutsebo akwabanyabo yerende inanumuberekirabo okwibye ibakasikaya emibiri y'abanyamyatsi omwibi ibakasondolibawa nekirayero.
So first, it's really absurd because democracy dies in darkness, and I think what we saw was a deliberate attack on the media, which is really disheartening. And so we want to call for accountability, that the people who committed these atrocities need to be held accountable. They need to be called out. I know that the people like Isano, the photographer with Next Media, who was beaten. I know that there's a top TV journalist who was beaten. He almost lost his eye. I know that the Daily Monitor and the NTV Uganda journalists were beaten and battered, and some of them broken. I think we demand for accountability. We demand for an explanation as to who committed these atrocities.
Solomon makabi inanumoberekira okwenyemyatsi okwibya ebaka twarabutsweretswere emibere eyerekoleramo emibiri kwabo kandi naribi ibakaya bamazima omabutuko bakahandika haimanerimanyisha abikarani okwamyatsi bakaba bisorocha.
Fairness, the core principles of journalism still stand. Being fair, balanced, accurate, and fact-checking. During political times, there's a lot at stake. People will do anything to win an election. As a journalist, you have to keep on the ethos and principles and pillars of journalism. You have to be factual.
We thank the organizers of this training, because this training automatically it is going to reduce the friction between the media, the journalists and the security agencies, the police, the army and other intelligence organizations. One, it has equipped the journalists, how to create a rapport and cooperation between them and the security agencies doing their work.
As human rights defender, we need to work closely with the police, then the journalists, so that we build the relationships so that this kind of fighting between actually amongst ourselves can end.
We expect the 2026 elections to be a little bit chaotic, and some journalists may not be spared, as we saw in Kawempe North the other time. But given the various trainings we are undergoing, I think we are ready to cover the next year's elections, simply because they have given us the tips of how to avoid dangerous situations with security forces.
Oruhindandanu runo orere bangurwa rwabiruka tekanizibwa naba African Institute for Investigative Journalism orwabiruka berkiram abandu mutina emomune abakarwera okobwabe obwabandu hauma nabanyamyatsi ero omachipende echerwenzori abwa omwatsi okwakinimba echerwenzori TV 63 Garwe Paul Katkwire era kusakirawo.